עושה שלום במאמר, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל ישראל.
Erev Tov, everyone. This week's parsha, so Moshe Rabbeinu attempts to avoid the decree that would ban him from coming into Eretz Yisrael. Let me go across, because I'll say that, so to speak, he rips down the gates of heaven with his prayers. To the extent that Kaviocho, heaven says to him, stop. Can't deal with it anymore. So the Rebbeinu Shalom tells him, Al Tosef Daber Elayo Badavor Hazeh. Don't talk to me about it anymore. There's no use. And Moshe phrases it in a strange way. Vayisaber Hashem bi lamanchem. The Rebbeinu Shalom was angry at me to punish me. Lamanchem. So what does lamanchem mean? There's a simple explanation. Rashi, the Ramban, most of the Meforshim. Lamanchem means because of you. I sinned because of you, because Mamri Ma'isem, you were always rebellious. You always wanted water. You always wanted miracles. You're never satisfied. So you caused me to sin. I lost my temper. I acted hastily. But it's really not my fault. It's your fault. Later Meforshim looked at this and they were troubled by it. First of all, it's out of character for Moshe Rabbeinu, whose love for the Jewish people knows no bounds, to blame the people for his sin. In the Torah, it says exactly what's happened. And should Moshe have said that? And therefore, they looked in the word lamanchem, and they saw in it a different interpretation. Lamanchem means for your benefit. Isanaf Hashem bi lamanchem. The Rebbeinu Shalom was angry at me in order to benefit you, in order that Klal Yisrael should survive. And therefore, because of this twist of nuance, it's understandable that the Rebbeinu Shalom would tell them, don't talk anymore about it, because we're talking here about the survival of the Jewish people. So what does lamanchem mean? So it's interesting, the Orach Chaim ben Ministri, and the Meshech Chochma, Meir Simcha, in his commentary to Chumash, both follow the same line, even though I don't think either of them saw the other one. They said Lamanchem is for your benefit. The Mayor Simcha says openly, if Moshe Rabbeinu would have led the Jewish people into Eretz Yisrael, and he would have conquered the kings of Canaan, and then he would build the Beis Hamikdash, so then the building would be indestructible, because it was built by Moshe. And therefore, if the Jewish people had to be punished, the punishment would not be on the building of the Beis Hamikdash, but it would be on the people themselves. They would be the eventual recipients of the punishment. So, Vayisaber Hashem bi lamanchem, Rabbanu Shalom let loose his anger at me for your benefit. Because now I'm not going to go to Eretz Yisrael. If I'm not going to Eretz Yisrael, then the whole entry into Eretz Yisrael, the whole settlement, the Mishkan, the eventual Beis Hamikdash, all over a different nature. They're no longer Moshe. So Moshe is indestructible, but afterwards it's not indestructible. And in fact, Chazal say, "Hotzias chamoso alo eitzim ala avonim." The Rebbeinu Shalom's anger was loosed on the structure of the building. The building was destroyed, but the people survived. That was the genius of Chazal at the time of the Churban and afterwards, is that they constructed a Jewish world that could exist without a Beis Hamikdash. Because if it was always dependent on there being a Beis Hamikdash, so then for most of our existence, we'd never have one. It doesn't exist. So Lamanchem, therefore, their interpretation was for your benefit. So there's an idea that all the Balei Machshava speak about, that there are many things that happen in life. They happen to individuals, and they happen to the people as a whole. They happen to nations that on the surface don't look to be positive. On the surface, they look to be things that are very negative. Punishments, tragedies, lost opportunities, all sorts of problems. Over a period of time, sometimes the period of time can be centuries. It turns out that it was a benefit. It was a good thing. It was something that was positive. So therefore they say that the Rebbeinu Shalom kol ma'idi ovid rachmano l'tav ovid. Everything that heaven does has a positive note to it, because sometimes it takes a very long time to see it, to see what the benefit will be, to see what would have been otherwise. And Moshe is aware of that. And therefore, in the Parsha, when he writes as to what occurred, so he looks at it from the point of view that heaven says it's lamanchem, it's for your benefit. It's a punishment, etc., but it's for your benefit, because you will, the people will survive, the Torah will survive. That's true in personal life as well. People have many challenges in personal life. No one goes through this world without setbacks, without difficulties, without failure. But we're all aware, of the goodness that descended upon us because a certain thing happened, and we thought it was negative, and it turned out that that's what saved us. I have an incident that I recall as a Rav in Monsey. And then I was the head of the OU Kashrus. So I was on a plane every week. I got on the plane once, and I saw a person from Muncie get on the plane with a woman that was obviously not his wife. And they were going to the place that we were going to was a vacation space. So I averted my gaze. It's none of my business. I thought that's the end of the story. A week later, a man came to see me. He said to me, Rabbi, he said, I know that you saw me. And I know that you saw me. And because you saw me, I got on the plane and went right back. And because of that, he said, I saved my family, and I saved myself. So he says, I want to thank you. I said, but what did you feel when you saw me the first time? He said, I felt tremendously angry, tremendously frustrated, because I had planned this and it was going to be, and the rabbi's on the plane. But he said the 2-hour plane ride, I reflected and I went back home. And I saved myself. So many times in life, that's what happens. Sometimes the Lord does us a favor, we get caught. Somebody saw us. So even though at the moment that it happens, and we are less than thrilled, and we resent it, in fact, but upon reflection later, that became a great favor that was done to us. The only question is what we do with the favor. So that's part of this idea that the Meforshim invest in this word lamanche. The Rabbanu Shalom does us favors, but they're not always apparent. They're not always immediately recognizable. And not always a good thing that we think is happening. I knew a Jew in Detroit, very fine Jew, a big Talmud Chacham. So he said in 1934, the Polish government drafted all the yeshiva boys in Poland. If you were a Polish citizen, they took you in the army. They emptied the yeshivas. It's not a very well-known fact, because it doesn't fit the narrative. So people went, he said, to the Chafetz Chaim to get a bracha. The Chafetz Chaim, to give them a bracha, they should not pass the physical, they should be exempt from the army. So he said, so I went too. I was 18 years old. And I went to the Chafetz Chaim, and I told him, I have to appear before the military committee, and I want to be excused. The Rebbe should give me a bracha. So the Chafetz Chaim said to him, the Polish army needs Jewish soldiers also. He said, I heard that. my life is destroyed. And I went, and sure enough, they drafted me. But they drafted me, and they trained me as a medic. And when the war came, they took me back from the reserves, and I was a medic. And because I was a medic, the Russians took me to Siberia. And because the Russians took me to Siberia, Hitler, when he invaded Russia, had to let all the Polish prisoners go because that's what England demanded. He said, I was saved. Everybody that was exempt died. So he told me, he said, when you take a bracha, you should know everything is a bracha. You just don't know how to interpret it. May not be apparent on the face of it, but everything is a bracha. So that's why the Rebbe Shalom was angry at me, to save the Jewish people. That's the idea that both the Orach Chaim and the Meir Simcha bring. Rabbi Chananya ben Akash Omer Ratzak HaKadosh Hu L'Zakos Yisrael L'Fichach Chiv Elohem Torah Mitzvos Shenemar Hanoi Chavei Tzon Tzidko Yad Torah Yad.